Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Vineet Malhotra, and after two successive deorbiting maneuvers, Indian Space Research Organization's Chandrayaan 2's Vikram lander is all set to land on the moon anytime between 1:30 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. on the 7th of September. Although Russia, US and China have achieved a soft landing on the moon previously, India wants to become the first one to explore the south pole of the moon. If all goes as planned, the spacecraft would be on the lunar soil at precisely 1:55 a.m. on the intervening night of Thursday and Friday. The Vikram lander separated from its mother spacecraft Chandrayaan 2 on the 2nd of September. Let's take a look at the team of scientists from ISRO. But before that, let me go to my colleague Devika, who's going to take us through what has transpired so far in this very crucial and pertinent mission, and what are some of the impediments, or rather the challenges, which still present themselves in front of ISRO. Devika?
Absolutely. Good evening. You're watching us on NewsX and NewsX YouTube. I'm going to request my PCR crew to now put what we see on our iPads on the screens for our viewers, and I'll also rope in quickly studio guests as well. Mr. Ravi Gupta, former DRDO scientist, is with us, as well as Mr. Arjun Hardas. So I will rope in our experts quickly. The video that you see on your screens right now is what has been, of course, released by ISRO as the animation for what is going to happen on the 7th of September. So what you see right now is, of course, the lander that was scanning the surface of the moon. It's going to be landing on the surface of the moon in about, cover a distance of about 30 kilometers in 15 minutes. There you see it's going to land. That information will then be relayed to the Earth. And of course, then the flap opens up and we see the rover Pragyan, which will then come out of the lander. And this entire process will take about 4 hours for the rover to actually descend and come out. And then, of course, the rover begins its operations. It's a tiny robot which can only cover a distance of about 500 meters. And this entire operation will go on for 14 days. It's one lunar day, which is 14 days on Earth. And that's the reason behind that is, of course, the fact that that's all the sunlight that this particular part of the moon receives. Let me now rope in all the experts with us in the studio to explain this bit by bit. I'm going to ask Mr. Ravi Gupta, sir. This, of course, is the most crucial part of what we're waiting for. What we see on our screens right now is the landing aspect of it. If you could explain to our viewers, what really do we mean by a soft landing?
See, when we land on the surface of Earth. Earth has atmosphere, so you can use the aerodynamics and slowly come down safely, like we do it in the case of a helicopter or an aircraft or a parachute. But incidentally, moon has practically no atmosphere. It's almost a vacuum over there. So how do we come down? How do we slowly reduce our speed and touch down? What we need to do is something of the reverse of firing motors. When you are taking off, as we did on Earth on 22nd of July, we fired the rocket motors downwards towards Earth and lifted up. Now this time what we are going to do is again fire the rocket motors towards the surface of moon, so that the speed slowly comes down, and it has to come down in such a manner that it very, very softly lands. And all the 4 legs, as you can see, there are 4 legs in this lander. All of them should touch down nearly at the same time, so that the lander doesn't get destabilized. So that is why it is a very, very crucial moment. As we are all aware, the success rate is very, very less. Many people have failed, but our scientists have done their homework very meticulously, and we are fully confident that we will be successful in landing in the first time itself.
Okay, so this is, of course, sir, a photograph that we see on our screens of the animation, the animated video that was put out by ISRO. So you're saying that the 4 legs that we're looking at right here need to land almost together. So this is what is one crucial aspect of the landing that you claim is something that we need to be looking out for when Vikram does make that landing tomorrow. And also, so if you could also tell our viewers a little bit about the entire process that goes behind, slowing down of the rocket, because we're covering a distance of 30 kilometers tomorrow in a window of 15 minutes. And those 15 minutes have been called the most crucial 15 minutes of the entire operation. So, sir, Mr. Gupta, if you could just explain to our viewers, why are those 15 minutes the most crucial?
As I said, that all the rocket motors in the 4 legs and in the center, they have to work in such a manner that they don't allow the lander to get destabilized. And that's why it is very crucial. Any small mistake in this process, which it can, and mind you, this is not being controlled at this moment from the Earth.
Right.
The entire intelligence of how to do it, how to take decisions, you can say our scientists have designed and made a brain inside the lander, and lander is now working in a completely autonomous mode with the artificial intelligence built into its brain. So that's why all the decisions have to be taken independently based on, there are variations in the gravity, there are variations in the rotation of the moon, and slight variations, anything slight, any wrong, any kind of a mismatch between the 4 legs, it can totally destabilize and lead to a crash. So that's why these last minutes, the 15 minutes, are extremely important and crucial and critical, as the scientists have been telling, that the heartbeat almost stops when you are taking up this kind of a maneuver.
Right, absolutely. And we also have Dr. V.N. Jha with us on the broadcast, and I'd like to rope you in, sir, as well. So, of course, Mr. Ravi Gupta has been explaining why those 15 minutes are crucial. If you could just quickly, sir, take our viewers through the specifics of what we're looking at right now, Vikram, the lander, this particular nozzle that we're looking at, and this is going to be playing that major role of slowing down the operations as far as the lander is concerned. Mr. Jha.
Lander is going with the velocity of 1.6 kilometers approximately per second, and that's a hell of a lot of velocity. And it has got the thruster with it, with which it will be slowing down. And that slowdown has to be within this 15 minutes. So you can imagine, right now it is traveling with a velocity of 1.6 kilometers. And within those 15 minutes, rather less than 15 minutes, it has to slow down to almost zero velocity, zero forward velocity. So it has got a huge thrust of about 800 newtons through all these 5 nozzles that it has got. So all those 5 nozzles will be burning on its peak to slow it down, and it comes about, say, 100 meters above the surface. Then thereafter, slow descent will be there, as just now Mr. Gupta has explained to you. So, the ISRO, because it is going to land very softly onto the surface, so that is how they call it soft landing. But we also add one more element, that since this entire landing is going to be processed through the software already installed in the lander, so that is also another element of the soft landing. So that is the process how it is going to be landing. And as you must have also heard Professor Shivan explaining how it is all going to be there. See, the lunar surface has got a lot of dust. So when it is coming down, those dusts will be there, and these dusts have got a peculiarity that it sticks with some amount of very mild force surface. Mm-hmm. So how they have designed it is initially all these 5 burners, 5 nozzles burning, and then thereafter when it comes very close, then only the central nozzle will be on. So with the central nozzle, all the dust that is between the lander and the surface will be blown away. Because you must remember, there is no atmosphere, there is no air on the lunar surface. So all this dust which is going to be there, either it has to be blown out by the engine, or it will again descend slowly on the surface subsequently. So this is the intricacy about the soft landing. And one more element, as he must have also explained, that after it comes down from that 100 meters down, it has to very precisely pick up the landing spot. Right now, ISRO has already identified 2 spots. It may be there, but in case then it comes so low and then it finds that the surface is not even, it will be maneuvering a bit onto the side.
Absolutely.
To find exactly the surface.
Absolutely.
Surface.
So I'll come to that as well, sir. Let's come to that in detail. I was coming to that, the landing site that we're looking at. So this is the landing site that has been chosen right now, which is about 70 degrees south of the moon and 20 degrees east in terms of the longitude. So this is the landing site that has been chosen as of now, and it will be landing between 2 craters. We're looking at Manzinus C and Simplenius N. So these are the 2 craters between which Vikram will be landing. So Mr. V.M. Jha and also Mr. Gupta, then I'll rope you in as well, sir. But Dr. Jha, if you could tell our viewers, this is of course the landing site that we've chosen. But sir, at the same time, what are the factors that will be contributing tomorrow when this landing is actually supposed to take place in real time? Dr. Jha.
Yeah. See, tomorrow in the morning after the lander has slowed down to almost 0 forward velocity, it will be hovering at around the place of landing. Now, within that 100 meters or so, it will have to pick up that particular spot. So, you must remember that it has got a lot of fuel with it, and those fuel will be giving it the lift, the opposite lift, for it to come slowly down and land at that. And the control is going to be there only the 5 nozzles that it has. So with these 5 nozzles to be coming slowly down, and you understand that the south pole is an area where the ducks are there, but it is lesser than the equator. So they have picked up a place where they have found that there is a mare on one side and there is a ridge on the other side, and there is a space where the flat surface are apparently being seen. But you must remember, when Apollo had gone with the man landing there on the surface, what Americans have identified the absolutely plain surface. When they actually went for landing, they found that it was uneven and very, very uneven. So they had to finally shift their location site. So this must be remembered that what apparently looked from 30 kilometers, absolutely smooth surface that has to be again re-solved when the lander comes to about 100 meters down and then pick up that spot. It's a very small, 4 legs are within a diameter of very small area, so that is not much of a problem. So, with there, it has to be absolutely vertical, horizontal surface, not exceeding the slant of more than 12 degrees. If it is more than 12 degrees, it may be with the force landing, it may topple over. That is what Professor Sivan was also mentioning, that it has to land by and large vertically, softly, gently, without any jerk onto the sides or before sitting down together.
Absolutely. And Dr. Gupta, I want to rope you back into the conversation, sir, quickly. There is then a possibility tomorrow that if this site, the one that we've chosen right now, it's possible that this may not then be the final site. And what would be then the aspects that contribute towards the lander making that decision? Because like you said, it's no longer in our hands. This is it's like a it's a machine that's operating on its own. It's artificial intelligence that's operating tomorrow. So it's not in our hands where to exactly land it or to even make that communication. So the lander with its own brain will be deciding. So if you could, sir, just the last aspect, if you could take our viewers through what are the most important aspects, and is there a possibility then of the landing site changing, and what are the aspects that contribute towards making that decision?
Yeah. See, as I said that this lander has to land vertically downwards with the rocket motors firing towards the surface of the moon. Now, when these 4 legs are touching down, the surface on which it is landing has to be plane. There shouldn't be any surface local small roughnesses, and the plane, the angle, it should be planar, it should not be at an angle. Suppose the tilt is too much, not like this, it is something like this. So what will happen? It may topple down.
Okay.
One leg touches, the other leg not touching, it means the entire thing will get destabilized and it will topple down and we may lose it. Because when it is touching down, it has got some shock absorbers. The speed even at the time of touchdown is about 2 meters per second, which is a fairly high speed. You can imagine a car or a truck moving at the speed of about 6 kilometers or 7 kilometers per hour. And if it hits a wall, what is going to happen? So that impact has to be absorbed. And if it is not absorbed by all the 4 legs simultaneously, so there is a tolerance to which it can work. Although the site has been thoroughly studied earlier and also by the orbiter before the lander separated out, and now in these few days it has been studied further by the lander's cameras. But then, even then, when you take a closer look, when you are only a few meters above the surface, it will again take a decision whether it is suitable or not. The primary decision making factor is the angle, if it is plane or it is not. So, if it is not, it will hover over there, shift to the other important site. We have chosen it because it is a highland between the 2 craters, and these craters are supposed to be having a lot of water frozen in its depth. It is a very deep crater, and because the sunlight is not able to reach the bottom of the crater, the probability of finding water, a huge quantity of water frozen as ice, is much larger as compared to the surface. So, we are landing between the 2 craters, and there if the surface is not plain enough, we may lose the lander. So, it will take the final decision when it is very close to it, study the surface, and if it finds that it is not appropriate, it may shift to the alternate site.
All right. Okay. So that was, of course, us explaining to you what really is going to be happening when Vikram does make that crucial decision of where it's going to land tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and over to you, Vineet.
Well, thank you so much, Devika. In fact, the technical part of this landing, which is going to be the crucial part, and the whole world is going to be observing this very landmark feat in India's space history. And we also have a couple of more guests and panelists who would love to talk about this feat that we are about to accomplish. But there are impediments, there are challenges that the Chandrayaan-2 and the lander will overcome. Joining us on the broadcast is also Sancheta Gajapati, BJP spokesperson. We also have Arjun Hardas, a senior journalist, on the broadcast. And with him we have Colonel Dinesh Nain, satellite and missile system expert. But Mr. Gupta, let me come to you once again. Now, in fact, Devika has covered most of the technical part. I'm going to be covering the emotional, the global, and perhaps the more notional part of this entire conversation. Astronaut Jerry M. Linenger has said that this landing is not only pertinent for India, it will be a misrepresentation of facts if we go on to say that it is going to be crucial for India. This is something which is meant for the world.
I fully agree with him, yes. And in a number of ways, it is very important for the entire globe. I recently wrote an article in Sunday Guardian where I said that the entire world is watching our this event. Some of the people, rather most of the people, they are watching with hope, because we have been doing the things more meticulously than others and at a lower cost. So those countries which are not able to afford their own space programs, they are looking towards us, joining in collaboration and cooperation and getting their things done in a much easier manner at lower cost. On the other hand, there have been, if you look back at the past, our space programs were, people tried, certain section of people globally, they tried. Those were the people who knew that India has potential, lot of potential, and tomorrow it will be able to come in competition. So, but okay, leave these things aside. Now coming to the technical part of it, the scientific knowledge which we are going to get from the South Pole is going to be tremendous. If we take the past history of moon landings, most of the landings have occurred at somewhere near the equator. So, whatever data, whatever key information we are having about the composition, today we don't know whether it is globally distributed, globally means in terms of moon. So, whether the composition is similar on rest of the moon or not, we are not sure. Topography we know, yes, topography of the places around the moon, around the equator is different, at the south pole is different. The part which is hidden from us most of the time, it is quite different. It is full of much more craters. Whereas the side which we normally reach, we are looking from Earth, it is more or less a plain Earth. But then what about the composition? Whatever composition, when the Americans landed over the moon, whatever they brought from there, the soil and all, is that is the composition same? After all, if you look at our own Earth, the composition of Earth at Antarctica and Antarctic and around the equator, it is quite different in all the places. So we need to know what lies after so many landings. Nobody had thought, people were thinking that there is no water on the surface of the moon. It was Chandrayaan 1 which proved that yes, we have water on the moon. If we look back at our own ancient sciences and Vedic sciences, we believe that moon is a Jal Tattva planet. But the science so far was telling that no, there is no moon, no water on the surface of moon, no water inside the moon. But today it is very well proven that yes, quantum has to be seen. Now this particular mission is going to throw a lot of light on how much water is there, what is the distribution of water, not just in the craters, but around the moon, especially the polar region. Why polar region? Because polar regions are the ones where the sunlight is a bit less and less harsh.
Right. Let's also rope in fact, Colonel Dinesh Nain and Sanchita Gajapati on this debate. Sanchita, let me come to you first. You know, there is this saying concerning the millennials that they know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. What kind of a value will this mission, the successful completion of this mission, hold for Indians and the generation who's going to be witnessing history the way it is going to be unfolded in a few hours from now?
Very historic time for all of us. The next generation will be inspired looking at our scientists and looking to ISRO. Because, I mean, they are modern day icons. They're role models for all of us. The fact that we have done this as a country, our scientific community has risen to the occasion. We've done this with limited finances under a very tight budget, much cheaper than anywhere else in the world. And also we have to remember that most other countries did not want to share technology with us in India. And yet we went ahead, our scientific community, also led by women. I mean, as a woman, I find that something that is so incredible that literally we have the power to go and fly to the moon and land on the moon, and the sky is the limit. So I think that this is a fantastic step, an inspiring moment for the next young generation. And I look at the millennials with a lot of hope.
Sanchita, in fact, we have a paucity of time. I would like to hear more from you, but we also have to get a word in from Mr. Arjun Hardas, who's been in the studio. Arjun, what does this mission mean for India, for the country, and for the kind of image that India has been working hard to project as a country, as a democracy, which believes in the power of sovereignty, in the power of evolution, and the power of progress, keeping everybody, alike and inclusive when it comes to growth and progress?
What does it mean for India? It's I think the best answer one can give is pride, confidence, self-confidence. For years, and probably till just a couple, maybe just 10, 12 years ago, when the economy started building up, India was still known as a land of snake charmers. And do you go to school on an elephant or do you go to school on a camel? Depends on what your economic strength is. That's the standard question asked even in educated countries in the West. Today, that's the question is going to be changed. Is that do you go to school on a rocket or do you go to school at a supercar or something like that?
So it's the perception that's
going to change. It's the perception that is going to change massively. And as you said, now in the last, how many countries have gone to the moon? 3 countries. Hopefully, we'll be the 4th. Out of which 2 have not been democracies, China and Russia.
Absolutely.
So America did it. They were the first, and let's be honest, they had help from the German scientists who provided that kind of technology. India is the first country that will demonstrate that you can do this without coercion, without running a autonomously. You can do this on your own. You don't have to depend on outsiders. All of them, whether it's Russia or America, got help from German scientists. China, I don't know if people know this, but got most of their assistance, almost all their assistance, by a Chinese American who was expelled from America. And he was the one who designed most of America's medium-range, intermediate-range missiles. They thought he was a communist. They accused him, put him in jail, As soon as he got out, he picked up his briefcase, his blueprints, and he scooted off to China. That is where their missile program has come from.
All right, well, that's actually enlightening. And Colonel Len, let me come to you also. It's very important to recognize that although this mission, in whichever way it goes, is going to be very important for India, because it is not only evolutionary at the same time, it is also bold. We are trying this, and no other country has attempted to land on this side of the moon ever. And, there have been few people who have made attempts. Israel, for one, had tried, but they failed. But India has tried to complete this mission even while keeping costs down to a minimum level.
Yeah, Vineet, all ISRO scientists are nervous, and they are slightly anxious also, and all praying that since things are in the hands of Vikram and Pragyan now to do the wonders there. But they are very hopeful because a lot of exercise has went through.
Colonel Len, I need a quick reaction from you, because I also want to get something in from Pathikrit.
They are very sure that it will go through.
Right. Sir, if you could just be brief. I also need to get a closing comment from Pathikrit, then we'll wrap up the show. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Vineet, firstly, this is first time any country going to South Pole. Secondly, this is the first country which is going first attempt and reaching there. Others haven't been able to. Thirdly, this is a country which has been able to go there with the least expenditure and using the best technology. This is what is making the other people, jittery. Fourthly, this is a country which is proving itself into space. And what I can say, I should not be talking big, but if we succeed in this Chandrayaan 2, I think India is going to emerge as a space power.
Okay, Pathikrit, few seconds for you to, in fact, wrap up the show for us.
Vineet, very quickly, 3 points. First of all, I think it's going to renew interest in fundamental science for the new generation Indians. There will be a lot of spillover in terms of the inventions and research done in this into our daily state of things. For example, pharmaceuticals can benefit immensely from some of the research. Third, the world is looking for two fundamental things: making soft landing a norm, and secondly, the reusable first stage rockets returning. SpaceX made it a success in 2018. So the reason why there's a lot of interest in this exercise of government of India is because there is a chance that in the future moon will be made a base for deep space exploration.
Absolutely.
So that's the reason that in the southern pole region
where
this landing is going to land, the lander will, the Pragyan rover, which will come out 4 hours after the landing of Vikram, will do research on titanium dioxide, silica, magnesia. So it's primarily a step in the right direction for helping the world in deep space exploration. And this is what India is showing, that it need not be the West that will be a pioneer in every case. From now on, Asia and India can also be one of the giants taking the first step, and the rest of the world following after that.
Absolutely. So India has not only been, if we can say, intrepid in this particular move, India has also been a catalyst when it comes to space exploration. And on that note, I'd like to thank all my panelists for joining us and sharing their very insightful thoughts on the matter. We'll be back shortly with more. Stay tuned.